Okay, welcome to the View on Africa, which this week is about Botswana. The elections on October the 23rd. My name is Peter Fabricius. I'm an ISS consultant and a foreign policy journalist, mainly for the Daily Maverick, which is an online South African news journal. The elections on the 23rd of October attracted unusual interest because they were expected to be closer than, in fact, they actually turned out to be in the end. And the reason for that was because the previous president, Ian Khama, had a major fallout with his successor, Mokgweetsi Masisi, over a variety of issues: policy, the fact that Khama felt that Masisi was restricting his privileges as a former president, and so on. And so Khama left the ruling BDP. He threw his weight behind, or actually maybe even helped form a party called the Botswana Patriotic Front, which contested the election in a loose coalition with the existing main coalition in the opposition, the Umbrella for Democratic Change, the UWC. And despite predictions as a result of this that Khama would split the BDP and so on, and could cost it the election, or even bring it very close to a defeat for the BDP, or maybe even have a hung parliament, the BDP in the end romped home with its 12th successive victory, actually, since independence in 1966, and actually one seat more, 38 this time, than it had won in 2014. And actually that gave it a clear majority of the 57 elected seats. And it also gave it a majority vote, which it had lost in 2014. So it got 53% this time versus about 47 in 2014. And Masisi has, of course, been declared national president. The UDC in the end came rather a poor second, with just 15 seats, two less than it had won in 2014, although it had gained another one since the election because of changes in the coalition. But its popular share of the vote actually increased from just over 30% to just under 36%. And Khama's BPF, the Botswana Patriotic Front, won only 3 seats, with the Alliance of Progressives taking the last one. And both the UDC leader, Duma Boko, and the BPF leader, Biggie Butali, lost their own seats. So it was pretty much a rout and away for the opposition. And it looked like a resounding rebuke by the Botswana people of Khama for especially his challenge, and also for a resounding endorsement of those people for Masisi himself. The BPF won its 3 seats all in one district, the Sorowe district, where Khama's own brother was one of those who won. The BPF, though, seemed to have an effect on the election beyond its 3 seats by helping the UDC through splitting BDP votes in some of the central district areas, which have always been the BDP stronghold. And the BPF may also have conversely, though, split the opposition vote in some seats where it was competing with the UDC. Even though they were in a kind of loose coalition, but that is largely to do with the fact that they'd come into the race so late. In the south, the BDP captured many urban seats in constituencies that had been held by the UDC and were traditionally regarded as opposition strongholds. In the capital, Gaborone, for instance, and its periphery, where the UDC won 6 out of 7 in 2014, the BDP won all 7 this time. And as an analyst put it, the elections kind of inverted the political map of Botswana, which had generally been blue UDC at the bottom and red BDP at the top. It was a bit of a switch around. Apart from those victories of those BDP in the south and particularly in the urban areas, the UDC won a few in the northern part of the country, and these were to some degree due to localized factors, such as at the big copper nickel mine and smelter in Celebi Pikwe, which was closed a few years ago and with the loss of thousands of jobs. And it seemed like the BDP was blamed for a lot of that. And in Maun, which is the tourist capital in the Okavango swamps, the opposition may have benefited from a local sentiment that the government was favouring foreign tourist operators rather than local ones. The BDP gains in Gaborone and elsewhere in the south appear to vindicate the views of several analysts and even some of his own fellow leaders, that UDC leader Duma Boko had made a strategic error in forming this loose coalition with the BPF, with Khama's BPF, because when the UDC was in opposition to Khama, when Khama was still president, they were even calling for his arrest on various charges of corruption and so on. So for a lot of voters, it was a bit difficult to swallow the fact that now they were suddenly in bed together. Other BDP gains could have been attributed to the Alliance for the AP, the Alliance of Progressives, which in 2014 had been part of the UDC, but then went out, and so probably split the UDC vote in some cities. The BDP gains in Gaborone and elsewhere in the south probably also reflected the greater charisma of the more engaging Masisi, who grew up in Gaborone and is well liked there, versus the rather austere Khama, the ex-military man, and Boko, who seems to be rather widely considered as a flashy and arrogant leader, as one local put it. The result also suggests that most Botswana preferred Masisi's version of some of these policies that he reversed. For example, one of the big issues that created a lot of publicity was he reversed Khama's hunting ban on hunting, specifically elephants. And I think a lot of Botswana, from my conversations when I was there in September, suggested that the Botswana saw that as being Khama being more interested in the animals than people, because occasionally people get killed by elephants in these encounters in villages and so on, because the elephant population is growing so fast. And then the other issue was that Masisi also reversed the alcohol restrictions that Khama had brought in, and even people who don't have any particular interest in drinking a lot of alcohol, I think, felt that was an undue intrusion into their private lives. The BDP's unexpectedly large gains in the traditional opposition heartland of the south, in particular, prompted the UDC, though, to cry foul and arouse some suspicion, even among some neutral observers, of some sort of election rigging. And the UDC has mounted a legal challenge to one constituency result, Ganzi North, which they won in 2014, and which the BDP took back. And tomorrow, actually, November the 12th, the courts are supposed to rule on that. And I'm hearing that if the UDC wins that one, they're going to challenge others. So the game's not quite yet over, but I think we can say fairly confidently that this has been a pretty resounding victory for the Botswana Democratic Party. And some people are asking, how come a lot of people were thinking otherwise, and it may have been because obviously it was the Khama factor, and maybe because Khama has quite a lot of influence on some of his issues on conservation and so on. There more support outside the country than inside the country. That impression might have exaggerated the importance that we gave to his defection from the ruling BDP. It's not clear, in fact, where all of this leaves Khama. He told me before the elections that if his coalition won and unseated Masisi, he would happily retire from politics. But if it didn't win, that he would stay in to continue the fight. But one begins to wonder, though, whether that fight might not increasingly come to seem rather quixotic, given the size of the BDP's victory. Some of this may depend on how the UDC responds to its losses. Will there be internal reactions? Will there be recriminations against Duma Boko for having entered this coalition with Khama? Will they blame him? We have to wait to see. If one looks forward in terms of recommendations, Masisi is now, I would think, pending a few challenges here and there to some constituency, seems to be firmly in the saddle with the 21 seat, is it? I think 21 constituency. majority, he has now a clear mandate to implement the many difficult reforms that Botswana needs to wean itself of its diamond dependency and lay the foundations for a more diversified economy in the future. This is Botswana's perennial problem, and this is a good opportunity for him to embark upon it because he's now got at least one term ahead of him. So that, I think, is what we would be expecting Masisi to do.